Howdy. It's the Old West.
Once Upon a Time in the West.
That's a different movie. We're not covering that.
No, we're not.
Sergio Leone's an Italian fella. Made westerns, spaghetti westerns. They named him after the food of Henry's nation. We should introduce ourselves. Daniel Ehrenberg. Here he is. Ehrenberg, Daniel. Henry over there, Papali, New Jersey.
Welcome, everybody. This is episode 250. We are doing Fistful of Dollars and for a few dollars more.
For who?
Aaron Holcomb.
No, I didn't realize that was a brain buster. Aaron Holcomb requested this, and what a request it is. So many people have complimented him on the request. It's the anti-Kyle Padovano. People are excited for us to cover this movie, and I am too, or I was. Hey, listen, gang. I just want to get this off my chest because I talk about hard times here on the show. I almost didn't want to record today, but I'm going to because remember that time I recorded that episode about Westworld when I got out of the mental hospital? So there's precedent.
There is. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Now, I've spent the last few years of my life getting my shit together, right? Listeners of the podcast, no, they've been with me through this journey because it started after we started the podcast. Podcast was top priority over getting my shit together. I got sober. I settled down. I got a job. I got an apartment. Then I started seeing somebody. We broke up and then got back together. Then I moved in with her, gang. Life was happening, ladies and gentlemen. And now I have been dumped. I'm sorry to tell you. I'm sorry to report. I was broken up with. I'm not going to talk shit about her on the air because I don't want to. But this is about as miserable as I've ever been. Close, mental hospital was a little worse. So, excuse me if I'm a little downbeat today. I'll try to pick it up. I'll try to make jokes. There's plenty to joke about here, although these are pretty great movies, so we can talk earnestly about them too. I am very pleased, actually, that we are covering these movies that have zero interest in women or male-female relationships whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you imagine if, this was the week we were doing Before Sunrise?
That wouldn't be good.
No.
Yeah. Or if, Blue Valentine had a sequel.
Red Valentine.
Yeah.
Do you think it'd be red? What color would they go with?
I think
or maybe pop an S on the back of there. Blue Valentines.
There you go. That's it. That's
like aliens.
Right. Yeah. And people would be like, I watched Blue Valentines last night. And you're like, what did you say, Blue Valentine or Blue Valentines?
No, Blue Valentine's, the one with the little girl. H-Dog, let's just fucking pop right into it. What if this is our shortest episode ever or longest episode ever? This episode's a wild card, gang. Let's see what happens.
I am entirely at the whimsy of how you feel you would like to proceed. I'm
going to need some help from you, so don't adhere to my whims too much. I'm going to need some plot help.
I didn't mean that. I meant, we'll get through it, and you were the one who wanted to persevere. I respected that choice. If it would have been me, just no way.
I know that. That's just you. It's not better or worse.
No, it's not. Right? No, It's true. Different ways of coping.
Yeah, this is how I deal. I'm sitting around doing nothing, dude. I watched half of Wedding Crashers today. Just half.
You could have watched something that had any romantic entanglements.
I was scrolling through Hulu, and I wanted to watch something stupid.
Yeah.
Here's what happened. I'll tell you the exact sequence of events that led to my watching Wedding Crashers. Okay.
Include your text to me. Yeah.
Okay. This morning, somebody on Letterboxd that I follow and who follows me was talking about what mainstream comedy from the mid-aughts will get a belated sequel next. That will be terrible. And so I said Wedding Crashers. I believe Wedding Crashers will eventually get a reboot and a nostalgia boost. Okay?
Okay.
So I said that. So that must have been in the back of my mind somewhere. Okay? So then I'm scrolling through Hulu, Henry. Hulu comedy movies.
Yeah.
All right. This is after we talked. Henry said pick a superhero movie because it's not going to have too many romantic entanglements. I would try to pick one without someone I have an enormous crush on, like a Zendaya or an Emma Stone. But we'll.
We're casting
or a dunce. Really, a dunce more.
Okay.
Yeah, I can't watch a Spider-Man movie. Too many crushes.
Yeah.
So I was scrolling through. I saw Billy Madison. All right. I was like, an Adam Sandler movie.
That's kind of
all
ideal.
right. Yeah, and so I was thinking, Billy Madison, I've just seen it a million times. If I could just find one I haven't seen a lot. So then they had Big Daddy, and I was like, yeah, I've seen that a lot too, actually. And so I went forward. I was in the A to Z rankings. I was like, if they have Mr. Deeds, I'm going to watch that.
Oh, all right.
All right, but they didn't, Henry.
No.
And so I just kept going and got my ass all the way to the W's, and there was Wedding Crashers. So I put it on, and then I'm like, all I remember about it is like Vince Vaughn jokes about syrup. Will Ferrell has a cameo. Maybe it'll make me laugh. And
I remember like nothing about that movie. Almost nothing.
I had a pre-owned Blockbuster rental, DVD that I watched a few times around that period. So. I mean, it's a bad movie, but whatever. So, but of course, like, I get like 3 minutes into the movie, and I realize, the whole fucking thing is about weddings.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in the title. What is wrong with me? And by this point, I'm so sick of scrolling through lists and shit, and I'm miserable and depressed and can barely move, so I just fucking I left it.
Oh my god, dude. Oh. Yeah, yes. That is a really bad choice. I can't. Yeah.
That's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, no, I get it. I would have thought you'd like throw on like an unemotional, like fucking documentary about like squirrels or something.
You know what? I was frustrated because Sunday night I watched that QAnon documentary.
Did you?
And I was like, that would be fucking perfect right now.
Yeah.
You're gonna hate it because the guy, I think he thinks of himself. The guy who directed it, I think he thinks of himself as like an enfant terrible, like a Michael Moore or a Morgan Spurlock. He's all over the movie.
The director himself is all over? Is it? I mean, I didn't bother because it's so nauseating. I don't know if I feel like devoting.
I'm obsessed with QAnon. I mean, that sounds really bad to say these days.
I know what you mean.
But thank you for knowing what I mean. I'm very interested in the QAnon people and their many conspiracy theories. And
I know.
Who's John F. Kennedy supposed to be?
In their universe?
Yeah, like John F. Kennedy has had plastic surgery, and now they think like a different celebrity or politician is
Jr.
JFK Jr.
Oh, they think JFK Sr. is JFK Jr.
No. I'm saying they think JFK Jr. faked his death.
Right, that I knew.
Yeah, and is somebody now that's famous.
Right. Oh, I didn't hear that second part. I didn't know they thought he was somebody.
If I Google who is JFK Jr. in QAnon, do you think this will come up?
Yeah, probably. They've really, yeah.
In QAnon.
It's so fucking sad and contemporary. I don't even know, man. And I know people who fucking, you know
QAnon people?
I've met some people who I suspect are, yes.
Wow,
yes,
incredible.
Yeah, it is incredible. And and difficult.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I don't have to be in close proximity with any of those people. So, but yeah, I can't.
All right, listen, I can't find it. But
Don't worry
QAnon is interesting. To me, QAnon, Columbine, OJ, these are my subjects.
Yeah. No, you're right. You're right. They are your subject. Is it a good documentary, or is he just too in his own way?
No, it's good because like it's really going deep. Like I'm learning things and I've read a lot. So
Sure.
So it is good, but the guy is just like, I'm gonna be the star of this baby.
That's fucking annoying, but yeah. Yeah, I get it. Okay. Well, if I do watch it, I'll know what I'm in for then. All right.
Yeah. All right. H-Bomb. Let's get into the movies. All right. Hey, Fistful of Dollars. I watched it in 2019. I looked that up on Letterboxd. October 2019 was my last viewing of Fistful of Dollars. And here I am watching it again. And I gotta be honest, because I had watched it so recently, I sort of let myself pick up my phone a lot on this viewing.
I understand.
All right. Fistful of Dollars was both written and directed by Mr. Sergio Leone, who is an Italian director of some note who had a strong interest in developing an American Western through the prism of Italian filmmaking. And so he's sort of combining the art of Italian filmmaking with the craft of making a Hollywood Western and really going for it in his own specific style and way. So Fistful of Dollars is the first one. He did this Man with No Name trilogy with Clint Eastwood. This, For a Few Dollars More, which we are covering today as well. And The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, which we'll cover next week. He then goes on to make Once Upon a Time in the West, which is his big epic Western. Ducky Sucker, which is the only one of his films I've never seen. And from what I can tell is a smaller scale, back to basics, Fistful of Dollars approach to his filmmaking. And then, of course, Once Upon a Time in America, which is his 4-hour magnum opus, a very divisive film that happens to be one of my favorites.
Now, he's only made, 6 films or so?
Yeah, the Man with No Name trilogy and 3 other movies.
Wow.
As far as I can tell, maybe he's made like low-budget Italian stuff from before this that I've never seen, but I don't know.
No, but I was very surprised. I mean, when I saw that, because I'd never really looked that up, I don't think, in my life. And his name is so in everything, just in our conversation.
Yeah, that's because these few movies are that fucking good, dude.
Yeah, I mean, his impact culturally is just fucking ridiculously huge. I mean, even his name. I mean, I think people who don't even give a shit about films or don't even consider themselves even remotely nerdy about him, you say Sergio Leone, they know it from somewhere.
I also think he sort of, with the spaghetti Western or whatever, it was a new vocabulary for movies, so everybody pulled from it. So there are so many movies that are easily comparable to Sergio Leone films. And anytime Ennio Morricone works for anybody, critics will mention Sergio Leone. Or anytime Henry Fonda plays a villain in anything, they're like, his great villain performance, obviously, was Once Upon a Time in the West. Yeah. Yeah,
and likewise, even I, with Ennio Morricone, when I was just looking at some of his stuff, I was realizing how it's affected me inseparably from Sergio Leone, completely unwarranted. Like the thing I have constantly throughout my life whenever I think about the movie The Thing, I always go, oh God, yeah, that score by John Carpenter, that's his best score he ever did, there's no doubt. And then I have to come back and I'm like, no, that's Ennio Morricone. He did other shit.
Yeah, one of the only scores Carpenter didn't do.
Right, and I think Ennio Morricone, I always have to remember he also did the Untouchables score, which I know you don't like the movie, but it's a great score.
The best part of the movie.
So he's just, Sergio Leone's just got his fingerprint.
It sounds like the People's Court theme, right? That's
not bad. Do
Do you think the People's Court ripped off the Untouchables? Which came first? Do you think Brian De Palma ripped off The People's Court?
You mean Ennio?
Yeah, I
Ennio.
guess Ennio would have done it.
I don't know. Judge Wapner was definitely, he had to be around in 87. I don't know.
You're right. I always think of Ed Koch being People's Court, but that was later.
I don't remember that.
Ed Koch was my People's Court judge.
Holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I only remember Wapner, man.
I only know about Wapner because of Rain Man.
Jesus. That's a really funny difference from our ages.
Yeah.
That's weird. I'm not sure if I even knew Ed Koch did that.
That's what I know Ed Koch from. Like to me, I learned Ed Koch used to be a New York mayor from watching him on the People's Court.
Wow. Okay. Fascinating. Wowzer. Huh. Yeah. All right.
Court shows are good. I like to get caught at my parents at a weird time of midday when a court show is on.
Oh, they like that? They watch that stuff?
No, but say I'm in the living room, my mom's in the kitchen, my dad's dicking around upstairs, I'm stuck here. I'll put on the TV, and they have cable, which I don't. I use Roku.
Right.
So, there's always court shows on in the middle of the day.
Yeah. That's for a lot of unemployed people like to watch people getting in trouble.
I like the one where there's 3 of them, Henry. It's a team of judges.
A team of judges.
Yeah. It's like
That's
2
fair.
women and a black guy, and they're the judges.
That sounds like a fair court.
What the fuck show is that?
I hope that's not actual court of law justice being meted out.
It is. It's just local, incident court, I guess.
Goodness gracious.
All right, I'm Googling 3 judges TV show. Am I bad at Googling things? Get back to me in the comments.
Well, I don't think so.
By the way, the title of that show, Henry, is Hot Bench.
Boy, that could be taken in
and the guy is white. One of the women is black. I got that wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Interesting.
Not that it matters.
No, it's Hot Bench.
Oh, it is hot.
Yeah,
It
we're not
gets
talking
intense.
about Ralph Ellison. It's okay.
Yeah. Someday I'll want to have sex again, right, Henry?
I think that day will come soon.
I hope so. Okay.
Yeah.
This film. So
Sergio, what a Joycean moment that was. I love that. Just
Maybe I'll throw them in if they come across my head desk.
Yeah.
So Leone based this film on Yojimbo, which we can also cover someday because there's a sequel to that.
Yes, and I had first seen Yojimbo and Sanjuro. I feel like that was making the rounds of our friends.
It was. It was because it had just gotten released on Criterion.
Who started that one with the rounds on that?
Maybe
wasn't me or you. I know it wasn't me.
It must have been Casey or Jason. I mean, this is meaningless to people.
I know, but it's important to me. So anyway, I got in that round, and I love both of them. I remember, though, I did like Sanjuro more.
Oh, I didn't, but maybe I'll change my mind like I did on these movies, Henry.
Yeah. Well, so if I may really quick, my history with these movies is very fragmented. Good, the Bad, and the Ugly is the only one I really remember a lot. And I realized I've seen them all, but it's been an extremely long time, probably 25 years at best. And it's funny because Fistful of Dollars is one of those. Sorry, wait. Yeah, they're definitely gonna conflate in this show. So
they shouldn't though, because the first one's Fistful, and then the sequel is literally like some more dollars. I actually think. I have a theory about the titles. I'll save it. Go on.
Okay. No. Fistful, the ending is the ending of Fistful is like a part of that movie I've seen repeatedly for some reason. Probably
you've seen it repeatedly because you've seen it in the background of that hot tub scene in Back to the Future Part 2, bitch.
And I read your review.
That was from 2 years ago. I wrote that review.
Yeah. No. I've just that's what I recall. And then for a few dollars more, a couple of things, but mainly these almost felt like very fresh watches. And a lot of the stuff that I thought was in these two movies wasn't, and was from others. I was like, "Where's the big?" And then it was like, "Oh wait, that's in High Plains Drifter. That's in Pale Rider." And so that was happening to me.
That's interesting. I haven't seen a lot of those Clint Westerns, and it's because I grew up with my father, who, he's interested in movies, but not like obsessive, but he loves John Wayne. And so I grew up with John Wayne, John Ford movies, and I think he made me watch The Wild Bunch at some point. But
interesting.
But like that was my Westerns. I didn't know Clint until way later, and Clint was like an old man to me. Like when I was a kid, like getting into the movies, Clint was doing Space Cowboys. So I was like, this guy sucks.
Right. See, when I was a kid, he was already, it was in the 80s, but he was on TV so much in his old movies that he was always an all-encompassing figure. Sort of like a Sean Connery. Like
I definitely felt that way too. Yeah.
Yeah, like I was learning about Sean Connery by watching Dr. No, but at the same time being aware that he in the 80s was making like The Untouchables or The Name of the Rose or whatever the fuck. And so Eastwood was very similar to me. He was somebody who I was seeing in movies right then, but he was also in these old movies, these Westerns, and these definitely were my first Westerns. My folks, to the best of my recollection, are definitely not John Wayne fans at all. So I didn't grow up with John Wayne as like a Western touchstone.
Understandable and probably smart.
Well, I don't know.
Look, I love like 5 or 6 John Wayne movies a lot, but he's a problematic figure. I mean, Clint is too, but Clint has had such a humanistic eye as a filmmaker. It's like if Clint was just like a director and a public figure, I promise you I would hate this motherfucker.
Yeah,
but
you're right. Yeah.
He's such a classy, consistently thoughtful and interesting filmmaker that it totally colors the way I look at him.
No, I was actually thinking about that for some reason when I was watching For a Few Dollars More, which he obviously didn't direct, but I was thinking about kind of my own processes about his career and his direction, and I was like, I think one of the reasons that he continues, like, even I actually had the thought, I didn't write it down, but I'm remembering it. I was thinking about, like, he's made some bad movies, but like sometimes even his worst movies have been, for me,
Space Cowboys.
Like, that's not even his worst movie, dude. Yeah, like they've been like pot boilers that are still not like offensively bad.
But I like those pot boilers a lot more than a Space Cowboys. Like
you like them more than I do.
I can sit through a blood work, baby. I like a blood work. Yeah,
I'm thinking of blood work. I'm thinking of True Crime.
True Crime. Get Isaiah Washington off, baby.
I saw you gave Changeling 4 stars.
It's a great movie.
I couldn't get through it.
That's ridiculous, Henry.
I hated it.
I loved it. I think it's great. I saw it when it first came out, and I gave it a 2, bro. And I'm jacking that baby up 2 stars. I was wrong. I'm gonna eat shit over that movie. Changeling is good.
All right. Yeah, I didn't even. I was honest about it. I don't think I even rated it on.
It's a great fuck the police story too, Henry.
Is it?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Do you know the story behind that? It is a true story of this fucking woman whose kid went missing, and then the cops found the kid, but they had the wrong kid, and she was like, "That's not my kid," and they're like, "Yes, it is."
Boy,
it's fucked up.
Yeah,
and Clint nails it, and great performance by Doug Stamper from House of Cards.
Oh, there you go. What's his real name?
Michael Kelly. Michael Kelly. I don't trust those double first names. Hey.
Okay.
So, you want to hear my theory about these titles?
Yeah, I do, actually.
I think For a Few Dollars More is a bad title. All right? Hot take from the year 2021, baby. But here's why. Because Fistful of Dollars is a great title. All right? Fistful of Dollars. That shit's evocative. That word fistful, what a good word. And
yeah,
then
you don't use that a lot.
What a strong title. And
you don't use the word fistful a lot.
Yeah. So now, what do you do for the next movie? You jack it up, right? It's not Ocean's 11, it's Ocean's 12. But here's what they're doing. For a few dollars more. What, a couple of measly bucks? In the first one, he's getting a fistful.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think that it makes the second one sound like a lesser film.
Isn't it probably more to do with the Italian translation of the original title, whatever they were?
I do not know.
Yeah.
I have no knowledge of that. I don't know anything about Italy except for red sauces.
I know you don't. It's probably
sometimes a cream sauce. Sometimes a cream sauce.
If you want to know about Italy, just watch Stanley Tucci on CNN going to the biggest cities in the country and eating spaghetti.
Just watch Big Night. That's a good movie.
That is a good movie. I was kidding about the CNN thing.
I know. Hey, somebody do a double feature of Big Night and Changeling. That's a good double feature, man.
God, that's a weird one. All right.
So that's my theory. All right, so Sergio wanted Henry Fonda to play with the man with no name. He was really into Henry Fonda, huge fan. He thought he was like the best actor, and Leone always felt that because of Henry Fonda's deep blue eyes, he has such a baby face that he would be especially effective in a darker, more anti-hero or villainous role. So he eventually has him as the villain for Once Upon a Time in the West, but he turned him down here. Then he went to Charles Bronson. That was his second choice. From Death Wish.
Everybody goes to Charles Bronson. How many times have we done this routine on this show?
Hey, FYI, Bronson was in Once Upon a Time in the West, too. So Leone wanted to work with Bronson.
I'd never seen Once Upon a Time in the West. So.
That's the best Western ever made.
Really?
I think.
I'm not sure if I ever heard you say that. Don't think I ever asked you what you thought was the best Western ever made. Okay.
I don't think you really give two shits about Westerns. I mean, sometimes you do. Sometimes you're into it.
I love Westerns.
You're right. I'm sorry. Hey, Henry.
That was a crazy sentence.
Henry, I read that, they just did the Berlin film showcase or whatever. Okay, so there's a film market in Berlin every year where independent companies take scripts and packages and try to get more funding from independent resources and studios to help them make the movie. Guess who got the biggest deal in history this week, Henry?
I haven't the foggiest.
Oh, Mr. Scott Cooper for a Christian Bale reteaming.
Wow, I'm going to try not to urinate myself.
I thought of you. I almost texted to you, but I kind of wanted to tell you on the show.
Wow. He needs that kind of funding? Isn't he already kind of established? Isn't that a little odd?
I think Cooper likes to make movies that are, I don't know. No, none of his movies really make money, do they?
No. I just thought that award would go to, that prize would go to somebody who's struggling.
It's not a prize. It's not a prize. It's where people can bid. You present to the public what your film is going to be, and then studios can step in and go you know what, we'll give you $55 million for that.
It's like an auction,
sort of. Yeah,
of an idea. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens, man. It happens. I think the Mule might have been in that series. So
that was fun.
Yeah, he fucked two women at the same time. Clint.
In the Mule?
Yeah, Clint Eastwood had a three-way in the Mule. You don't remember that? It's all I remember about that movie.
Jesus, I sure don't.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a true story. It's a true story. Okay, so then he went to this fellow Richard Harrison. I don't know who that is. I thought it was Richard Harris, but it's not.
Right. I clicked on that name too. I don't know who that is either.
Oh, yeah. And Richard Harrison suggests Clint Eastwood because I think they had maybe worked together on an episode of Rawhide or something.
Yeah.
All right, so Leone takes a look at Eastwood. He's like, yeah, that'll do me fine. Yeah. And Eastwood signs on because he's just like a fucking TV actor at this point.
Yeah, I read that he was getting a little sick of doing the Rawhide business too, which is probably understandable.
That'd be tough. TV was very much a lesser form of entertainment back then, and so like you didn't want to be on TV. TV was where you wanted to get away from, or where you had to go back when your movie career died. So, yeah. So like Eastwood used Rawhide as a stepping stone, and then was like, "See ya."
Wait, is that Bonanza?
That's Bonanza, my friend.
What's the Rawhide? That's a rolling to put the rest of time.
Oh yeah, I think that is it. Rawhide.
Yeah.
I feel like there might be a lot of whips in that theme song, like in the background.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah. I've never in my life watched one episode of Rawhide.
Me neither, but I've watched so many shitty Western TV shows from that era because of my dad. I've seen like a bunch of episodes of like The Rifleman.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay. I've also seen a lot. Well, this one's better, but Have Gun Will Travel. I've watched quite a bit of that. Yeah. That one I think could be a reboot. Reboot that show. People would watch it.
That title would confuse contemporary minds.
Have Gun. Yeah, you think so? They'll be like, what's up with the syntax there? And also, what does that word syntax mean?
Yeah, they don't know what syntax is. Yeah. It would be a Harry Potter situation. We'd have to call it something else. The guns are going to travel.
Yeah. We're going with guns.
Get a gun and move.
Yeah. All right, Henry. This film was released in Italy September 12th, 1964. It didn't come out in America until 1967, Henry.
Yeah.
Amazing. It cost $225,000 to make. It ultimately made $14.5 million. It was a big hit in Italy, and for a few dollars more was an even bigger hit. But it didn't really do much business in America. Ultimately, it comes to America in 1967 and grosses $5 million.
Yeah. Now, didn't Clint get paid for Fistful like $15,000 or something?
Oh, for Fistful? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, something really low like that. And then I think for the second one, they bumped it. You have that? Yeah, you're right. I wrote it down.
No, I don't have it. I just remember it. Yeah. A rare exception of my memory working. I have a question for you that I didn't look up because I wanted to I figured you'd just know, but maybe you won't. So in the interim period of him making these movies and then them all sort of simultaneously being released, like what was Clint Eastwood doing? And the reason I ask that is because I figure he was working already in movies again, but I was thinking that between the period of Fistful and For a Few Dollars More, I read that he watched it with his Hollywood buddies, and
well, that wasn't until when it came out, he never saw it. Like when they finished filming it, he just moved back to America and then like forgot about it. And it wasn't until the next year when Sergio Leone wanted to make a sequel that they offered the sequel to Clint, and Clint went, well, I never saw the first one. Can I watch that and like see if it was good?
Right.
Yeah, and so
okay. I knew that, but so in the interim between, I guess I'm asking between when he makes the films and when they're released in America, is he still kind of a nobody TV star?
He's not. I mean, Rawhide was a huge show, so he's not a nobody. But I mean, yeah, I don't think he really took off until later.
Okay.
Let's see what he did during those 2 years. This was 64. Yeah. What did he do between 64 and 67? Let's find out.
Probably some World War II movies.
He was on Rawhide until 65, man.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And then he did Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And then it was 67. And then the next year, 68, he got Coogan's Bluff, Hang 'em High, and Where Eagles Dare. So once these came out in America, that's when it took off.
God damn. Yeah. Wow. So he's 34 when he makes Fistful of Dollars.
Yep, that's age.
That's right.
That's sort of encouraging because I feel as though my life is coming to an abrupt end.
Right.
And Clint, he's had a lot of years since this.
Absolutely, dude.
He's made so many movies.
I couldn't agree more. A lot of people's careers don't get started till very, very late. So
he probably hadn't even fucked Sandra Locke by this point.
I would doubt that very much.
Yeah. That's nice.
Very much.
That's his lady, right? That he like abused and shit?
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
right. Okay.
Sandra Locke.
All right, so shall we discuss the film, Henry?
You could say that he put her through the gauntlet.
That's a reference to a Clint Eastwood film called The Gauntlet.
And she is also in it, I believe.
The Gauntlet is a great title for a movie. I've never seen that movie. Is that a good movie?
I've only seen parts of them on a bus.
A bus? What bus was this?
Driving very... No, not me on the bus. Them on the bus. They're driving a runaway bus or some shit.
Are they watching a Clint Eastwood movie in Speed?
I don't know.
What are you talking about?
The Gauntlet. I've only seen certain scenes, and the scenes I've seen in The Gauntlet are of Clint and Sandra on a bus driving like...
I thought you were trying to make some sort of oblique reference to Speed. I'm so sorry. Listen, I'm a little off today, gang.
That's quite all right.
All right, let's talk about it. Animated opening credits. Is this the first animated opening credits we've gotten since Weekend at Bernie's? I am happy about it. I always love an animated opening.
They're great.
Yeah. I wish there were like a little more fart and boob jokes. Those are the best kinds of animated openings.
You know what else I like is obviously it's the era we're in, but I really appreciate and always love films that get all the credits out of the way before we have to start paying attention in the movie.
Here's why I don't like that, Henry.
Oh.
I have a counterpoint to you. Because I like to plan my day around the credits. So the whole time I'm watching a movie, I'm thinking this is going to end 6 to 7 minutes early.
Right.
And then the credits roll, and that's when I can go off and do shit. But then when I put a movie on, and then it just goes, that timeline, I'm looking at that time at the bottom of the screen. It's just riding out to the bitter end, baby.
But you know, that is very true, but you also know how accurate and on the nose you're going to be. You're just going to be, it says 131 minutes. It's going to be 131 minutes.
Well, this was only 99 minutes. What a treat.
It was. Yeah.
So I'd seen this movie the most.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Why?
Here's the thing.
Odd.
Here's the thing. I watched this trilogy pretty late in life. Like I was in college or just after college or something. And my takeaway was I thought Fistful of Dollars was awesome, and it was like this down and dirty sort of grindhouse style thing that probably influenced a lot of like the Tarantino-y directors of the 90s and shit that I was into at the time.
Sure.
And Good, the Bad, and the Ugly was like an epic masterpiece along the lines of Once Upon a Time in America and the West, which I had already seen. So for a few dollars more was really the outlier to me when I watched it the first time, and I never watched it again. Because like the couple of times I was like in the mood to watch Man with No Name movie or whatever, I put on these two. Because like Fistful of Dollars, like it's 90 minutes long. I'm going to watch him kill a bunch of motherfuckers. It's going to be great. And you know, the Ennio Morricone score is awesome. And then the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly I put on like when I'm into like arty Sergio, you know?
Okay.
So there was this like weird middle ground in For a Few Dollars More that like I felt like it wasn't going all the way in either direction, and that bothered me at the time. But now, rewatching it, that is what I most appreciate about that movie. Now I think it's the best handled. I mean, I'll watch Good, the Bad, and the Ugly next week, of course.
Right.
But I think it is the best balance of any of the movies. The action is really good. You care about the characters. And so, like, I think I've been fucking up all these years.
Well,
like, I always thought of For a Few Dollars More as the weak link of this trilogy, and now I think it might be the best one.
Well, I can't say that yet because I need to watch The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly again, and that's the only one I'm familiar with many times over. But it's funny that you said all that because from what I was looking at, that seems to be kind of not that it's better than Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, but the critical consensus is that being sandwiched between the first one and the masterpiece, quote unquote, that this one really gets the fucking shaft by a lot of people.
But that's not true of every trilogy. I mean, think about The Empire Strikes Back or The Dark Knight or something.
Right, but I actually think it has to do also
with the Twin Towers, of course.
I think it has to do with the proximity of their making, and also, no joke, something you alluded to earlier, I think perhaps the title. It's not helpful.
Thank you. It is a lesser title.
But not just that, it's not helpful to differentiate from the first movie. So, and I think you're right. I mean, if we're just getting right into it, watching Fistful, you see the beginning of something, and you definitely see the beginning of something awesome. I think certain things didn't bother me at all, which I think would bother some people, and I actually thought it would, but the dubbing didn't bother me.
Well, you have to just take the dubbing for what it is, right?
What do you do? How would you watch it without it? But the second one, for a few dollars more, really has quite a different visual aesthetic, a different pacing. I don't think it abandons anything that Fistful does. It just feels like it's more complete, a little more thought out. The plot's a little more complex. The emotions are more human. However, I do think in the first one, Eastwood is pretty much as good as he is in the second. I'm just talking about himself. What I did not remember at all was how much he talks in these two movies. I did not recall how much.
Can I also just say, this is in many circles. Some people call this the Dollars trilogy. Others call it the Man with No Name trilogy. I gotta say, they say his name a number of times in these movies.
I know. And in certain aspects,
it's kind of a dumb name.
Joe.
No, what is it? It's like Marco.
It's Joe.
His name is Joe?
In one of the movies that the Gravedigger keeps calling him Joe. Hey,
That's
Joe.
the first one, but in the second one, everyone's calling him Monko.
Monko, yeah. Well, also
Steve Monko McMichael, NWO for life. Am I right? That's a WCW joke for the fans out there.
Well, thank you so much, or they thank you on behalf of me. I also think it was interesting because when you think about Unforgiven as like his sort of love letter as a sign off to the rest of these movies as this mythical character he played for so many years, it really, in many ways, watching these two movies, I'm not entirely sure, besides the time they were made and released, as to what makes The Man with No Name much different than The Man with No Name in High Plains Drifter or Pale Rider or or Outlaw Josie Wales. And so, interestingly enough, where I'm going with this is, I think these could be really two different characters. They're not that. I mean, they have it's Clint, but like there were more deviations than I was expecting.
I agree on some level, and especially about how the other movies could just be this character, because that was totally a thing back then. You watch John Wayne movies, and unless he's playing like Genghis fucking Khan in The Conqueror or something, like he's basically playing the same character in every movie. But
I mean, they're different a little bit.
I mean, a little bit, but I do think there's a through line in these movies where I was a little bit impressed with the friendship that they build with Lee Van Cleef. We should talk more about the first one, man.
Yeah. No,
okay.
Absolutely.
So the movie opens pretty hardcore. It's kind of a complicated movie, to be honest. It's deceptively complicated.
Yeah, well, it's bizarre. I think that some of the reasons it's deceptively complicated is because of the some production choices. I mean, I think that the locations are almost indistinguishable from like the lairs and towns of the Baxters versus the Rojos.
I have a problem where I
the actors-
cannot tell the Baxters and the Rojos apart.
because they look the same. Everybody in there just looks they're made up the same way. The
Rojos have a slightly more elaborate Spanish accent, I would say.
But not much.
Not much.
Yeah, and I mean it's the sense. It's so bizarre because the sense of place is incredible.
Mexican accent, I should say. It's not Spanish at all. Sorry, go ahead.
But they filmed it in Spain, so
did they? They didn't film it in Italy?
No, both these movies are filmed in Spain.
What, this is a spaghetti western? Why are we calling them spaghetti westerns? Just because the director is Italian?
Well, it's like an Italian, Spanish, German co-production. Who the fuck knows? But yeah, I think that they very convincingly. I mean, I've never been to Texas, thankfully, but they very convincingly portray, or nor Mexico for that matter, but like that border kind of area from what I've seen, but it's a great sense of place, but within the town, it's extremely confusing and doesn't help because for a long time part of the movie, I kept going. I was like, they keep saying, we'll go over to the Rojos and see what's going on there, and then Clint keeps going back and forth, and I'm like, how far are these villains from each other's lairs? Yeah. It seems like they're 30 feet, but they're acting as though they're in the next village.
It was difficult. There are so many westerns about like a lone man coming to a town. So like I was thinking about that, and I do think that is a failing of A Fistful of Dollars that Leone never fails at again. But I don't know, man. Like you watch something like High Noon, and like the layout of that town is so
I never saw High Noon.
Oh, great movie.
That's Gary Cooper, correct?
That's correct, yeah. The layout of the town is so well established that like by the end of the town, when he's hiding in the barn and then he walks over to the train station, like exactly where the barn is in location to the train station. And that is not something I really felt in this movie. It just seemed like sort of like a strip. It was like a main street. This town. I mean, which is a lot like the fucking Deadwood town, but like I couldn't tell, man. They needed to have them closer. Like maybe the Rojos needed to like live across the street from the Baxters.
Well, it felt like at certain points they were. And one of the most confusing things was this that the Rojos I think who's the lead Ramon.
Also, by the way, Rojo, that is red in Spanish.
Yeah, yes. Are you using Duolingo lately? Are you practicing on Duolingo?
I knew that off the dome.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Bien.
Do you want? That means good. You want to test me?
Not really, but okay. I mean, if you want me to,
I don't care.
Can you count to 10 in Spanish?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10.
Nice.
11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
Very
16,
nice.
17. All right, whatever.
That's pretty good, man. I can do French.
I'd love to hear it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
If you can count to 10 in a different language, comment on the post. I don't even know what that means. All right.
No, I mean, wait, I was going to say, so part of the proximity thing, one of the worst things is this poor husband whose wife has been kidnapped and is living in servitude to Ramon. At certain points in the movie, it seems as though she's living in a building that is like 30 feet away from the husband. Like she comes out and emerges, and then I'm like, wait a second, they're that close to each other? And then other times she's like over in Ramon's house. It's very strange. So location gets a fail for at least in terms of geography of the town.
They fuck up the geography, but the movie's not really about that. The movie is such like a thrill ride kind of a thing. He shows up at the town immediately, just like dripping with badassery. He shits on these little kids. He comes in. I mean, he seems like a nice guy or whatever. All right, and then these guys razzle him. Right? They're like, "What? Get out of our town," or whatever. Like what people do in westerns.
That's right. And he passes the coffin maker, and he says, "Prepare 3 coffins."
Prepare 3 coffins.
It's a great line. I don't think he says prepare, but he just says you're going to need 3 coffins. Something like that. It's great.
Yeah, and then the punchline is he kills 4 people, and then on his way back he goes, "My mistake, 4 coffins."
It's great.
Yeah, it's amazing.
It is great. Yeah, it's great.
So then he goes and he needs someplace to stay, Henry. So he finds a lovely motel with a very bosomy redhead woman and her milquetoast cuck husband, and they stay. Does he fuck this woman, do you think?
That's not the next movie.
Is it? Sorry.
I get it, man. I think that's the next movie.
I think you're right.
Yeah. No, he stays with Silvanito because his awesome friend who I love in this movie, the innkeeper, the bushy-haired guy who gets tortured at the end on the noose.
Oh my God, that guy! You're right. If I'm not going with like one of the usual suspects, that was my favorite supporting character in the movie.
Me too.
I love in a Western when one of these like lone gunman guys has a confidant that just like works at the saloon or at the whorehouse. Like it's nice in the next movie when he's got like a fellow gunman or whatever.
Yeah.
But I sort of like scenes in Westerns where like someone's having a drink at a bar, like, boy, I might get killed any minute. Yep, it's not going well for you, Taco.
Well, he's a nicer guy in this movie, I think, than he is in the second movie, Clint. I mean, his character, he's approachable. He's all about fucking these 2 families out of each other's money. But he frees the wife. He lets them go for nothing. He befriends the innkeeper. He befriends the gravedigger. That's a great character too.
He's truly just bringing joy to this town. He is a weird character in this movie.
The liberator.
Because like people talk about him like such a badass, but like I feel like they're thinking about the second and third. He's badass a few times in this movie. You can't really beat like making 4 coffins or whatever the fuck.
Right, but he gets his ass kicked in this movie.
But also like,
which is great.
One of the weird things about this movie is like he doesn't really have much of a goal. Like he comes to this town.
Right.
He learns that there are 2 families sort of in charge of the town, and then he's like, well, I guess I'll fuck with them.
Yeah.
Like, that's all. Like, he doesn't really have a plan to, like...
No.
Like, it's not a plan of, like, justice or like, honor or something.
And it's not even, like, the one I've seen a lot, High Plains Drifter, which I know when he paints the town literally red, paints all the buildings.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, that movie's incredible. But he is a fucking scumbag. Like he is not a good person. He happens to want revenge on this gang for an unknown reason, but he does some really bad things that are even hard to watch today.
This feels more like Josie Wales, where like he can kill fucking anybody, but he's almost like he's a secessionist with a heart of gold, baby.
Wait, that's not established in this movie?
No. Just Outlaw Josie Wales I'm talking about.
Oh, right. Boy, I haven't seen that in a while. Lee Van Cleef, however, is definitely a colonel in the Rebel Army.
I wasn't even thinking about it, but I guess you're right.
Where are you from? Carolina. That's all you need to hear.
Just spent the last few years defending them slaves. I mean, not defending, trying to hang on to them. Trying to hang on to them slaves, baby.
Defending the slaves from the Union tyranny and oppression.
They're trying to take them away from the cotton fields where they're most at home.
We know what's best.
Meanwhile, Lee Van Cleef is talking in a fucking New York accent in this movie.
He's from New Jersey.
There you go, yeah. All right, we'll get to Lee Van Cleef next movie.
Yeah, we're not there.
So he's fucking Johnny Knoxville-ing this town. Like, It honestly feels like a fucking Tom Green prank where he's just like trying to fuck with people. You know what I'll do? What if I free that woman? How about that? That'll get him like crazy. He's cooking up these fucking schemes all the time.
They're elaborate too. I mean, I think that's where
he's like the Rube Goldberg of the West.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think it's the plot that's complex. I think it's his plots that are complex. Like,
you're totally right, because the plot's really simple. It's just like this guy's fucking with people, but the fuckwiths are really thought out and complicated.
They really are. And like I'm like watching the movie, and I felt like I was on the innkeeper's side. Like the innkeeper's like, "What are you doing now?" And then he's like, he tells him, "Be back in a minute." And the innkeeper's like, "But I don't understand. You said..." I was like the innkeeper. I was like, I am lost at this guy's plans, but that's okay. You know, it still works.
Yeah, I wouldn't be friends with this guy. Like, I think, like, what are you doing, man? Like Clinton, the second movie, it's like, I get you. I understand who you are. But what are you just showing up in towns and just fucking with people and leaving? That's your move?
Yeah, I feel like that might be part of the debut of maybe Leone just wanting a guy to show up in a town. That, like, his premise, just being a guy showing up in a town. He doesn't give a fuck what the plot is. That is not borne out in the second movie at all.
The plot is just an excuse to hang badass sequences onto, whereas the second one does feel like a really great 130-page screenplay.
Yes. Yeah, very much so. And you know, and that also goes for the layout and the shots, even though they're all great.
I think man. This movie's so fast-paced and badass. The shots are really jagged. The typefaces are cool. The music is insane. Like Morricone in the next two movies, I don't want to say he's neutered, but he's pulling back a little bit. He's trying to service the film.
Yeah, that's interesting. I think in the second one,
all over the place in this movie.
He is all over the place.
He's ringing bells, plucking guitars.
Yeah. Well, I think in the second one, I actually felt a little differently. I felt definitely he's conforming more to what is the story on screen, but he's, to my ears, he was just as experimental. In the second one, he's got timpani drums, snare drums, trumpets, all kinds of orchestral instruments. And I actually had a weird thought. I was thinking how Johnny Greenwood is like the most recent, maybe Atticus Ross and Trent Reznor, but like the most recent people to like do something just who are just like, I don't fucking care.
Oh, you mean
what to get out of this.
Movies?
Yeah.
Yeah. To like just go for broke in terms of score and something?
Just like, a movie score doesn't have to be an orchestral score. I can make it whatever I want to be. And when I heard Morricone, it just kind of hit me more in the second movie, in For a Few Dollars More, where I was just like, he's really just doing whatever the fuck he wants. Whistling, for fuck's sake? Like, constantly whistling? I mean,
there's so much whistling. I was getting a headache watching it.
There's a lot of whistling. But, yeah.
I whistle a lot. And when I lived with Henry, one day, he absentmindedly said to me, just in passing, "You're not good at whistling."
I said that?
You said that to me, and I gotta be honest.
It hurt.
I take pride in my whistling.
I know that.
I still think about it. Sometimes when I'm whistling, I think, Henry thinks I'm bad at this.
But I have complimented your whistling for years afterwards, so I wonder if I hadn't... Maybe when I heard you, you weren't giving it your all, and you were kind of doing some I'm alone, absent-minded whistling, and you weren't... And what I heard was like half-assed Daniel whistling.
I think sometimes I'm eating as well, and I start to whistle, and I can't do it great.
It must have been what I heard, because you are quite an accomplished whistler.
Thank you.
I mean, almost as much as the painter that I love so much.
Whistler? Whistler's daughter?
James McNeill Whistler.
Is that a person?
It's one of the greatest painters of all time. Yep.
Whistler, by the way, is also the character who first told Angel about Buffy.
That's awesome.
Yeah. He's played by the great actor Max Perlich. I don't know if you see that guy and stuff.
Max Perlich.
Yeah.
I
No?
saw him per
Oh, he's trying to craft a joke. I see the wheels turning.
By the way, decade late apology for the whistling comment.
Oh, thanks.
Must have bought. I don't know. Yeah.
All right, Henry. Anything else to say about this first fistful?
Well, I mean, that ending. I mean, not to jump right to it.
We should talk about it.
That's a pretty. And see, I didn't remember that is from this movie. I mean, some of these I've seen almost all the Eastwood westerns. I think maybe I haven't seen Hang 'Em High, or if I did, I don't remember anything about it. But I never know sometimes which one that ending is in. And
what about Paint Your Wagon?
No, that looked boring.
You haven't seen Paint Your Wagon? It's got music in it.
Is he a killer in that?
No, it's a musical. It's his western musical.
You
don't know about that movie?
No, I do know about it, but I didn't know it was a musical.
You should watch it. That's like exactly the kind of oddity that I know I'll watch one day.
Yeah. Paint Your Wagon.
Paint Your Wagon. Yeah.
Oh, man. Whew. Well, no, but so this is the one where he does the famous, aluminum bulletproof vest. And I love the entire sequence, and I love how funny it is that when he takes off his poncho, it doesn't matter how many times I see this ending, I keep thinking that the piece of metal is going to be like huge, because he gets shot like 50 times by Ramon, and then he pulls it off, and it's literally like a 7-inch square covering a little portion of his chest, and it's got like five dents in it, and I'm like, I love that every shot was. It's so no, it's just funny. It's just funny. I don't give a shit. It's awesome.
It is
great.
Awesome. It is. Yeah. It is honestly. It's such a classic. There are very few better endings to action movies than this one. It's so clever, and it really does trick you if you don't see what's coming, and. It's a trick that's been ripped off by about a trillion movies and TV shows since, and Clint is perfect and haughty and triumphant in that moment. And
it's greatly shot, because it's all done, to my recollection, from afar, from like Ramon's standpoint.
Yeah.
The camera never goes any closer to Clint than Ramon can really see him. And that's a genius move, too. And it also is something I'll look for the next time I watch this, which I will for the rest of my life, is set up. It is set up, and I didn't remember that. I didn't remember that it's set up with the armor suit, and I didn't remember any of that. And the metallurgy that's taking place in this fucking mine shaft that he's got as his like bat cave before he comes out. I mean, it's awesome, and the whole aim for the heart, that whole instruction that Ramon keeps saying that's all it's worth to shoot somebody's aim for the heart.
Oh my God! Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, I mean, that's all set up, so Clint knows he's going to shoot him there, which is also makes it more believable that he would put that there. That's
the extra mile that this movie makes, rather than just having your main character wearing a bulletproof vest for no reason, which many other movies have done.
Yeah, that, honestly, when we're talking about it out loud here, when you think about it, if they just did something like that, without aim for the heart, without the knight armor stuff, I mean, that would be laughably stupid. I mean, it'd be really dumb.
It would just be cool. It would be cool, is the thing. And that's what a lot of filmmakers care about. They want to make it badass. But real filmmakers will take something like that and make it so that it seems like it will exist and happen in this world.
Yeah, that's a pretty neat idea. This is the movie where they attack the Union Army too, right?
Like he makes both sides. Like, isn't that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Clint does that after, but he does it because they want to rip off a courier of like weapons or something, or gold, and
Gold.
the gold mine.
That's my prospector character.
I have a prospector too.
Ooh, let's talk. Gold.
They keep wanting to get off the silver, but it's gold standard as well, chat.
Great talk. All right.
It's a gold mine. Yeah, no. And I was impressed with myself. I have to say, I'm not gonna lie, Dan. I kind of gave myself a little bit of a smile, actual physical smile, because I'm watching the movie and I'm going, all right. Like a lot of movies, Dan and I, when they don't say when it takes place, Dan cares less about this sometimes. I care a lot about it when it's like American, like historical, American history. And so I'm like, so I'm going to guess that this movie probably takes place in the 1870s. And I'm going to say that because there's a Union Army in Texas. And then when they unload with that fucking, like, machine gun, I'm like, that came a little after the Civil War. So I'm going to stake my bet we're in the 1870s. So I Googled it during the movie. When does Fistful of Dollars take place?
When did it?
1873.
Oh, you felt good about that? And you gave yourself a little smile, you said?
I did.
Yeah. Does that happen a lot, Henry? I feel like you're the type of person who will give yourself an actual pat on the back. Like when something good happens to you, I can see you reaching back there.
Yeah.
And
I
patting.
can't anymore. My shoulder hurts too much, but I smile. It's easier to do that.
Sure.
I threw my shoulder out when we were playing in Central Park, if you recall. I can't
Your
move.
shoulder's still fucked up from that?
Yep.
That was 11 years ago. That was full on 11 or 12 years ago.
I never got it fixed. I did something really serious. Yeah.
God damn. Well, you know what, man? You used to like throwing it from the outfield. Like that's...
Well, yeah, but that's not when it happened. It happened when I was pitching. Yeah.
When you were pitching to me?
Yes.
Oh, because you were going whole hog with it.
That's right. Remember that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's so funny. Like one day we're like, pitch as hard as you can to me. I want to see if I could still catch. And then it's like 12 years later, you're still hurting from it.
Yeah, and I wanted to see if I could still pitch.
Yeah.
And it was great fun.
Hey, and we both still could. I felt good about it. Now, maybe neither of us, but back then we could.
Right, exactly. But no, I felt good. But the funniest part was one of the reasons it was identified was that it's of course I'm able to deconstruct the timeline because of my crazy stupid nerdist knowledge. I couldn't do it from something that's right on the fucking screen. There's a scene where Eastwood is leaning against a grave, and the grave.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
73.
That's a great point.
Completely missed. But anyway, great movie.
Great movie. I'm giving it a 4, Henry. I understand that to most this is a 5, but I'm gonna give it a 4. This movie's such a good time. It's badass, but it doesn't engage me on any level further than that.
I actually agree with you completely. I think there's nothing wrong with giving this movie a 5 at all. I almost did. It's a 4 to me. If anything, I just think that some of the villains could have been better differentiated.
You know, the villains are a big problem. And it's so fucked up because in the next movie, the villain kind of rules.
Oh, yeah.
But he's played by one of the same villains from this movie.
Yeah, I know.
So why is he so much better in the next one?
Well, it's just a clearer character.
Maybe
it's better,
more distinct character.
But I don't think it's necessarily the Rojos who aren't good. I think the Baxters are set up to be some sort of, anti-villain to the villains, and they're just not developed at all. And we get this matriarch who kind of wanders in and out, Consuelo, but she's not really developed. So my LVP is actually the guy who calls himself the sheriff, and that's Sheriff Baxter. He's supposed to be the leader of the Baxters, but he's indistinguishable from anybody.
But I kind of like his first scene where he first tells Clint that he's the sheriff. That's kind of good.
It is, but he's kind of a non-entity for the rest of the movie, and So he's my LVP. My MVP in this movie actually is going to go, and I did debate with one other possibility, but I am going to go with Clint in this.
I'm gonna go with Morricone. It's just like
we weren't doing that.
What do you mean? Like I have to go with an actor?
That sounds like me talking to you. Usually, I'd love to go with Morricone. I'd go with Leone if I could.
Well, that seems silly to go with the director. Then it's the whole thing.
Oh, I see. Well, all right, you're gonna go with Morricone.
Really? You're gonna make fun of me today? I'm gonna pull that card.
I didn't make fun of you. I just did this. You don't sound like that.
Henry, do your impression of me that you used to do when we were This is such a mean impression. Do it.
I don't want to do that.
Do it.
It's not very nice.
Do it like I'm used to do, like I'm grabbing a DVD from the shelf.
Nobody likes that, Dan.
Nobody
Nobody likes my impressions of that. Well, some people like them.
People love your impressions.
No, when I do them.
Oh, of course. Nobody likes that. But I'm asking you to do me right now so that the people can hear what it sounds like.
I'm not. I'll do it. But I'm not condoning this behavior by me. Yeah, that's a real great movie if you like dumb directors and stupid people. Yeah, Buffy, right. Yeah, I heard it.
Thanks, buddy.
No problem.
All right, let me know in the comments if that was good. I'm pretending that we have a comments board. For a few dollars, for a few dollars more is the next movie.
Wait, you're not done. Who's your MVP? So your MVP is Morricone, your LVP is who?
I was gonna go with Consuelo.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
See, I thought your MVP would be the innkeeper.
Oh, he's great. He's great. If I'm going with an actor, though, I'm going with Clint. He's just it's his first movie as a star, and he is such a movie star, man. Like, from that opening sequence, like, he shows up in this movie, and, like, I feel like if I'd never seen him before, I'd be like, oh, a movie star, hello.
Yeah, yeah, I got it. We've said it about, like, a few other times on this show. I don't know, we've encountered some debuts in our time, but this is one of those debuts where you're just like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, like, it's right there.
Yep, you're kind of stupid if you look at that guy and you're like, oh, what a nothing he is.
Yeah,
it's like,
charisma vacuum, Clint Eastwood.
So 4 and 4. All
Great
right,
stuff. Speaking of four, a few dollars more.
That's right. Maybe that would help the title. Just like the number 4.
Oh, they should have made a fourth and then called it For a Few Dollars More.
Paint 4 wagons.
Yeah. So Leone's back to write and direct, man, and he's picked up a co-writer on this baby, Luciano Vincenzoni. You a fan?
I mean, I own his novellas.
All right. So this is
hey, not bad pronunciation.
Oh, thank you. He's an Italian screenwriter. He did not work on the first movie, but he pulls him in for this one, and this sort of launched his career. He worked for a long time after that. He ended up also writing Ducky Sucker, and I think that's it for Leone movies, but he's around.
Okay.
This fella. I think he might have created a TV show I like. Am I wrong about that?
I wouldn't know.
I don't know. Oh, he wrote Raw Deal. How about that?
Oh, that's great. I would love to rewatch that.
I did rewatch it pretty recently. It's a good movie.
Hold up. Still good?
Yeah, it's not one of the best or anything, but like, hey, it's good. Fun.
For fucking ever, I always rated that as like one of the top 5 Schwarzenegger movies, but I haven't seen it since the 90s.
Not even close, dude.
I probably wouldn't think
it's not as good as like some of the other ones from that period, like Commando.
Running Man.
Yeah, Running Man's better for sure.
Predator, obviously.
Yeah. All right. So this was released in Italy December 30th, 1965. Just about a year and a half. Less. A year and 4 months. A year and 3 months after the first one.
Wow.
That is a quick turnaround, man. And boy, he really did it. He's got
probably really not hard movies to shoot. I mean, they don't use many locations. Everybody's probably.
But his shots are so complicated, man.
I know.
There's so many overhead shots, and the composition is so specific, and the color saturation. I don't know. I feel like these probably... Although, you know what? Clint Eastwood has no patience. So maybe he does shoot them quickly.
Yeah, and doesn't Clint shoot movies very fast? He takes like one take?
He does like one take.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Leone does a similar thing. Maybe he's all in the setup and then he's ready to go. He's not like a Kubrick or a Fincher who takes like 155 takes of everything. So
I know. Fincher's relentless with that shit. The stories I've heard about him are so crazy. All right, so $600,000 was the budget. It ended up making $15 million. It was huge overseas. At the time, this beat the record as the number one highest grossing movie of all time in both Italy and Spain.
Wow.
And became the number 7 movie in France. Didn't do as huge business here again because Americans are dumb. Okay. So again, he wanted to work with Charles Bronson. So he offered Charles Bronson the Lee Van Cleef part. And he turned it down because he did not like the script because he's very dumb.
Who's particular Charles Bronson about the scripts that he will attach his name to?
I don't know. This is not a bad script, but it's not as good as Death Wish 5, The Face of Death. Okay.
What's the name of the movie? It's a per qualche dollaro in più. It sounds foreign to me.
Unless you said Death Wish 4, The Crackdown, I'm out.
By the way, I love that we didn't even mention a massive thing on both these movies that it makes the first one is so impressive. Is this huge language barrier that was going on? I mean, they had like one guy, I think, who was like a fucking cameraman or to be an interpreter, like accidentally.
It is weird. Like, I can't speak to, like, if you know the languages. I don't know how it plays to you. But, like, it's dubbed in a way that doesn't overpower the movie. And it's even better done in the second one. And
I meant the making of the film.
No. I understand. Yeah. Like it is a task. And it to its credit, like, it plays perfectly normal. Like Eastwood said when he signed on for a few dollars more, it was because he showed the movie to a group of his friends at his house, his rawhide house that he bought with his rawhide money. He said, like, he played the whole thing. It wasn't dubbed. Like, it was in Italian.
Yeah, that's
and
great.
Like, everybody just understood everything that was happening from the visuals.
Right.
So he was like, I guess this director's good.
Yeah, I kind of really love that. I love that story. Yeah, but it just occurred to me that's got to be pretty intimidating. I just read that I would imagine that the politics of Jean-Marie Volonté, who plays Indio in this and Ramon in the last one, I wonder if that ever came up with Clint Eastwood, because I'm reading that this actor, as awesome as I already thought he was, is now more awesome.
Oh.
Because he was a virulent left-winger and outspoken and fiery and difficult. I love it. I wonder if him and Clint ever had any conversation.
Was Clint already, like, dyed in the wool, like, NRA at this point? Like,
I'm pretty sure, dude. Yeah.
Yeah. Were Republicans already nuts?
You know what?
I always think of Reagan as the beginning of the Republicans being nuts.
1964, Barry Goldwater. That was the
tipping point.
Yeah. Then it was like Reagan, and Clint was in California. Reagan was governor in '66. So there you go. It's that's when. Yeah.
Can we cover a Ronald Reagan movie? Has he been in any franchises?
If you would love to hear me vehemently spewing shit for 2 hours like you've never heard.
Is there a Bedtime for Bonzo sequel?
Probably. Maybe Nap Time, Breakfast.
Oh, for Bonzo?
Yeah.
Different times of day.
Yeah, I mean, it's an ape, so.
I love it. I'm looking at Ronald Reagan right now.
Did you turn off the lights around you?
No, it's just very dark. We're recording at night, and I didn't have the lights on.
Wow, I thought there was like some sort of supernatural entity happening.
Yeah, I'm pretty depressed, so I'm kind of sitting in the dark over here.
So we'll just be staring at like Dan's glasses. I won't be able to see anything.
Hey, did you know that Ronald Reagan's in a movie from 1941 called $1 Million Baby? What a connection, huh?
Now there's a guy who was an FDR New Deal Democrat who made a lot of money and then became a Republican.
Ronald Reagan?
Know that?
No,
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep.
Don't you think that all the really successful Republicans were Democrats first?
Hey, sometimes you
it's
do.
Like, who are the best Republicans? It's like Lincoln and Ronald Reagan. I mean, not that Lincoln was a Democrat, but he was a liberal.
He wasn't a Republican in today's terminology.
Of course, there was a party switch. We all know. Okay, for a few dollars more, let's talk about it, Hank. So Clint Dog is palling around with a fella in this movie. But at first, he's not. He's just a man with no name. He shows up at a new town. They're really going hard with the fact that he's a bounty hunter in this movie, which is a big improvement. Because in the last movie, as you'll recall, he's a prankster. And I don't really know what that means in the Old West.
Call him that?
No, that's what I'm calling him.
Oh, that'd be funny if they said that. I don't remember. I mean, there's some odd dialogue, so who the fuck knows?
So in this movie, he is a bounty hunter, and he's hunting bounty, along with many others. I like the sort of scroll at the beginning of the movie that's like, well, in the Old West, bounty hunters roamed the land, or whatever the fuck.
That took me so much by surprise.
Yeah.
And when there wasn't more to it, I was like,
like, all right, I guess. It's so funny. I wonder if it's like because of things like Walker. I don't know. Because of things like Boba Fett or something. Like, we just know what bounty hunters are. But maybe in 1965, you had to explain it.
Maybe because you had things like...
it's like when you watch Jurassic Park now and they're like, let me tell you what DNA is. And I'm like, I get it.
Maybe Bounty had such... Well, even one of the reviews of the movie said that it was... From the time, said it like rehabilitated the word bounty hunter. And I think maybe that's because bounty was like looked at as like if you kidnapped somebody. Like, the Lindbergh baby or something like that. Maybe people back then were like calling someone a bounty hunter was not necessarily like a good or even cool thing. I don't know.
Indeed.
But it was very funny when I saw that. I did not remember that. I was like, oh my God.
So Clint, he posts up in this town, and he hangs out in this hotel with this bosomy lady. And he ultimately, there's another man in town, Henry, Lee Van Cleef. We actually meet him in a cold open where he is shooting folks, and they're shooting at him, and they're not reaching him, right? The bullets are hitting his feet, like the ground in front of his feet. But he has this gun with a long-ass coxswain, a big barrel. And
coxswain? Did you look it up?
No, I just made that up.
It's like a revolver with like a rifle butt put on it. It
looks like a Colt, Magnum or something.
With like a fucking rifle thing on.
If you've ever played the game Metal Gear Solid, it looks like the gun that Revolver Ocelot uses.
Okay.
All right? You good with that?
I knew that was a Royal U and not Henry U.
Wait, have you ever played Metal Gear Solid, Henry?
No.
It's the greatest. That is the only video game I want them to make a movie out of. I want to see it right now.
I'm surprised they haven't done it.
Henry, you gotta watch Monster Hunter. I watched that new Paul W.S. movie.
Oh, yeah.
Bro.
That's out?
Yeah, it's the shit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a $5 rental now, and it kicks ass, dude.
My rental plans this week were going to be Minari and The Father.
Oh, yeah? Well, that shit sounds boring. Wouldn't you rather see Mila Jovovich go through a portal?
Yes.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I might see those movies. Minari and the Father. What?
I
Hopkins,
realized when
Glenn.
Well, sorry, what?
Hopkins and Glenn, my two favorite actors.
Yeah, Glenn. No, you know what it was? I actually realized accidentally that after our last show, when you told me about the Oscar noms, I looked them up and realized that I had accidentally seen pretty much every film up for almost every category except those two. So, and I actually wanted to see The Father before I knew it was up for anything.
I didn't. I feel like Anthony Hopkins is in like one of these movies a year. It's always like The Dad, The Father, The Judge, The Grandpa. Am I wrong about that?
Olivia Colman in it, man.
Who?
Olivia Colman, The Favorite.
She's in everything.
I like movies about dementia.
The Two Popes. Sorry, I'm looking at Anthony Hopkins.
The Two Popes!
The Dresser.
Not got a higher register because it doesn't deserve the young Pope theme.
Sure. The Right. Remember that movie?
I do. I saw it. Yeah.
You saw that movie? Wow. Good for you.
It's really bad.
I bet.
Really, really bad.
Henry, so Lee Van Cleef, let's talk about him. He can shoot people further away. Okay? So finally, he meets Clint. And this whole time I'm watching this movie, I've only seen it once, I'm thinking they're setting this guy up as the villain. And I'm thinking, that's kind of baller because I'm into this character. He seems like he'd be a good villain.
I didn't think that because the Amazon description right on my fucking television set said 2 bounty hunters team up and I was like,
I didn't read that.
It's like Force of Habit. I didn't even, went right into it. Plus, I don't know. Lee Van Cleef is the bad guy in Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, and I wasn't sure if. Is
he a different character in that?
Yeah, they're all different characters. That's what I'm saying. This is put together as a trilogy just because Leone directed them. But I mean, other than that,
they're a trilogy, though, right?
No, for sure. I mean, they are. But I'm never going to say they're not. But
is this a franchise? Are we even covering a franchise?
No, but you see what I'm kind of getting at here. I mean, it's they're not the same people, but I get it. Of course, it's the
tone
franchise.
stays the same, though. I know that this movie is
going. What is the same?
The tone. It's going for a more elegant feel, and it's slower paced and a little deeper. But I don't know, with bringing Ennio back and Sergio Leone's very distinct style, they still feel of a piece.
Oh, I agree. It feels like like an opus of 3 movies with the same collaborators. It just doesn't have a through line of a story. That's all. They're 3 completely different stories with different characters, but whatever.
If the Dollars trilogy was Kieslowski's 3 Colors trilogy, I believe that Fistful of Dollars would be white. This movie would be blue, and Good, the Bad, and the Ugly would be red. Right?
Wow.
How about that?
I really have to process that analogy for a second. I have to think about it. Sure. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so they get into the shootout in the middle of town. That is one of the fucking best scenes. And
first of all, I did want to say one of the best shots is Lee Van Cleef's. It's actually not introduced quite in the way you said. He's introduced by holding a Bible over his face first on a train.
Oh, that's right. There's that train bit right at the beginning. Yeah, you really follow. That's why I thought he was the villain. Like, he seemed menacing on that train to me.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but then he gets off, and he's weird with the guy, the ticket taker. He sees that bounty, and he's like, somebody draw extra zeros on this or whatever.
Yeah. Well, he is scary and menacing, and I think that makes it even more impactful and powerful at the end when you find out what he's doing for all this. And I really, really want to watch it again to kind of know that now, because I did not remember this stuff. So
remind me what happens there.
Well, he's not doing any of this for the money or for bounty. He's doing this because he knows who Indio is all along. We see him through that's why this movie's so masterful too, is that you get to see both men work before they come together. They do their own thing. Eastwood's already collected a couple of bounties that are amusing, fun scenes to watch. And then you find out all along that Lee Van Cleef's been in this for revenge, to avenge his sister, who Indio raped and who killed herself.
Oh, right. We keep getting these sort of oblique flashbacks.
Yes. And I, God bless the movie for including Indio as a villain complex enough to not just be evil, which he certainly is, but to be fucked up too. That he needs to like smoke whatever he's smoking to like try to get rid of this awful thing he did.
Yeah, it's true. He's a bandit, definitely.
Yeah,
he's a bank robber with very little remorse.
He murders without compunction.
But he raped Lee Van Cleef's, was it sister?
Sister.
Yeah. And that's, once we get the full flashback of that, it is truly a horrifying sequence.
Yeah, it is.
It really unflinching, and the idea that she manages to grab a gun and shoot herself through the heart while being raped is such sad imagery to me.
Yeah, like not shooting him either. Just she can't take what's going on, and he had just murdered her husband, I guess.
Yeah, I think it was like, I'm ruined now or whatever. But
it was crazy. Yeah, that added.
And the fact to have a villain with actual remorse over what he thinks of as the worst thing. Like, that's a complex character, to be totally fine with all the bad shit they're doing, but to still be haunted by the specter of this one fucked up night.
Yeah, I mean, you know, that and one other scene are the most, to me, horrifying sequences in the movie. And the other one I didn't think was going to happen. I was quite shocked when it did. When Indio is freed by his men, and they're hanging out in that like church type thing.
Yeah.
He finds the guy who turned him in the reward, and he grabs the guy's wife and baby. And you don't know what you figure he's going to kill the guy or probably rape the woman and maybe let the kid go. You know, you don't know what he's going to do. He just, so the man knows, and it happens off screen, but I mean, he kills the woman and the kid.
Yeah.
I mean, I was blown away, dude. No hyperbole. I was just like, holy shit. They just killed a baby. And I mean, so for
I am very pro baby killing in movies, I must say. I think too many movies take the easy way out by not murdering babies.
Yeah.
Kill them!
Right. I agree. They always get away with it. You always know the kid's going to live.
That's right.
Yeah. It's a slightly different type of movie.
Yeah.
So this is
I'm pro-death.
He's in a dark mood today, folks. But wasn't that scene shocking?
It was shocking, Henry. I was shocked.
Jesus Christ, yeah. Anyway, but it's interesting, right, that is okay. He doesn't think anything of that, but the rape and her killing herself are what.
There's something about that haunts him. Maybe it was just being inside of a corpse.
The necrophiliac aspect of it.
I think that would freak me out if all of a sudden, one moment I was fucking a living person, and then the next it was a dead person. Yeah. That would be jarring to me.
You think that would be a little bit jarring? Yeah. Yeah, maybe that's what it is. Maybe he's not horrified by
he's stressed out. Yeah.
He's just like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually was doing that
Yuck.
once. Nobody knows, right?
Yucko.
So he takes a pocket watch, key point to move this plot along, that he plays for whenever basically he wants to have a shootout with somebody. And he's like, when the music stops.
Oh, it's baller. This movie plays with waiting a lot. There's a lot of like really suspenseful moments in this movie where you're waiting for something to happen and you don't know when, and it's a cock tease. And that is like the biggest one, is like waiting for that music. And there's like a couple of moments where it seems like it might be over and then it keeps going. It's so well handled. And
his patience with the camera his trust in our ability to, as an audience, to just wait is very impressive. And I mean, even this scene when Eastwood and Lee Van Cleef meet, and Eastwood just keeps shooting Van Cleef's hat.
No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. Van Cleef is shooting Eastwood's hat.
No.
Absolutely. No. I'm right about this, by the way.
No, you're not.
Yes.
No, you're not.
What are you talking about?
Clint Eastwood shoots Lee Van Cleef's hat off, and he keeps shooting it further and further away, and Cleef keeps going and walking further back and then trying to pick it up, and then Eastwood shoots it again. And then finally, Cleef picks it up and then shoots Eastwood's hat in the air multiple times while it's floating in the air as his little retort to boast off
right.
gunslinging ability.
You're totally right. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, right. Because it's sort of like what you get now in superhero movies. It's like a power demonstration.
Totally.
This is the scene in the first Avengers movie where Captain America and Thor fight in the woods.
Yes, right.
So yeah, right. So Clint demonstrates like, I am the best shot. My accuracy is the best. And then Van Cleef is like, yes, but I can shoot from very far away. My distance is great.
Yeah.
And it's let's join forces.
It totally is. And it totally showcases different aspects of their marksmanship. Because Eastwood is just shooting something that's stationary. But Van Cleef is like, yeah, you can shoot my hat. It's sitting on the ground. Yeah, I can shoot yours while it's in midair. Exactly.
I'm going to skeet shoot you in the hat, bitch.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Start saying that to people.
But that's what I'm talking about with the patience, and what you were too, which is like that scene. I kept thinking, like, is Lee Van Cleef gonna just keep walking back, and is he gonna do something?
Well, that's another really good suspense moment where it's like he's just dropping back, and it's like, what the fuck, dude? And we know what's gonna happen because we saw him take that really long shot earlier, but it's still like Clint, like you're watching it through Clint's eyes in that scene, and he's not scared because he doesn't get scared, but you can see him interested. Whoa, where's this going?
And isn't that one of the many times Leone uses this shot, but it never seems like it's too much, when he shoots through the legs of the character? So like Eastwood standing for a minute on the bar saloon stairs, and you just see Van Cleef like through his legs. Leone loves this fucking shot.
It's never with Leone. It's never the shot that you'd pick. Leone has a unique way of seeing the world that he is able to express through his camera, and I think it's unique. And that is my favorite thing about movies. That's what I want from filmmakers. It is astonishing to me when a filmmaker has their own distinct style that can't be replicated. Like that's so amazing to me.
Yeah.
And so like when movies are really samey and shit, that's why I get frustrated. I mean, forever, you know?
Well, no. But what I mean is, especially now, because it's almost like composing or painting or something like that, where so much has already been done that like everyone's generally using and riffing on someone else, which is the way art usually works. But so when you can still find a filmmaker today who can do something like that, it's all the more impressive, I think, you know?
Definitely, bro.
Dan only listens like 4 seconds.
I actually really listened to that. I thought it was a good point, and I was trying to think of directors that I've discovered in more recent years that were particularly exciting to me.
Yeah.
There are a bunch. H-Dog, what happens next? So they infiltrate the gangs.
Yeah, which, by the way, I think is such a funny plot point, because I think that Eastwood's reaction, he says, Lee Van Cleef says, well, one of us on the inside, one of us on the outside, and Eastwood's like, you're looking at me when you say the inside.
Yeah.
Because I'm thinking, too, I'm like, that...
They have a cute friendship.
Yeah, they do, and I have to say, I'm thinking, looking at the movie, I'm going, Lee Van Cleef, you're a great actor. You're a great character here. That is the dumbest fucking plan I've ever heard in my life. There's no way that Indio is going to accept like, how is this gonna ever
But
fucking
it does
work?
work.
It does.
Although, you know what? It fucking doesn't. Because Indio later says that he knew from the second Eastwood showed up. I love the way he puts that. He's like talking to one of his henchmen. He goes, when did you find out that he was working for the other side? And he goes, I don't know, tonight. And then he's like, I knew the second he showed up. I don't know why that's my voice for this character.
That's good stuff, yeah.
I'm sort of doing like a more of like a Raid Serba Gerba voice.
Yeah, it was very good. Yeah. I make you costume, you make the party tonight, Tom Cruise.
Word. All right.
Yeah. No, Indio, that actor, man, he is...
what an improvement.
What?
What an improvement.
Yeah. Well, he's given more of a character, I think.
Of course. Yeah, I'm not going to blame him. And the performance in the last one's not bad. It's just indistinct. Whereas this, I think, is like a pretty great villain. I think that this should go on our list of great old school villains that we've discovered. Right. You know what? The last time there was a villain like this that I felt really excited about from an older movie that we covered, it was Dirty Harry. When we covered Dirty Harry, we were so into Scorpio. Yeah. And it was because, like, that movie, people remember it as Dirty Harry. Like, it's the Clint movie. No one really talks about the villain. And then Scorpio, he dresses like me. He's badass. He's kind of weird. And so I was, like, way into that character. And I feel the same way now. Like, when people think about these movies, they think about Ennio Morricone. They think about Clint Eastwood. They think about the look of it and the music. And boy, I will think about this villain now going forward. Yeah, he's great.
One of the great villains of all time. I wouldn't hesitate to say.
I would hesitate to say that, but
I would not.
But great.
I would not.
Well, I mean, it just depends. Like, when you say that, I'm thinking like top 20, and like he's not in there. But like, if I'm making my list, the top 50 villains of all time, yeah, sure, you could pop that.
I didn't put a number on it. Greatest villains of all time could have been 1,000.
Would make that list.
I would. Top 10 Western villains of all time.
Definitely. No one can dispute. You know who my favorite Western villains are, though, Henry?
Yosemite Sam.
No, those damn Indians.
Yeah.
Those fucking Injuns always scalping Whitey.
That was a strange joke. Yeah.
Just ripping on it's just that's so. I watched The Searchers like a month ago, and it's just so amazing to me that it's like the villain is just like the evil Indians.
Oh yeah,
they're savage beasts.
They respect only one thing. Yeah,
and what's that? Really, nature,
violence. That'd be great if one of the characters was like, to John Wayne, was like, nature? Or
no, killing!
No! Oh, because I just saw that Pawnee tribe, and they were just kind of sitting there relaxing and watching the sunset.
They're bloodthirsty thieves, and you won't convince me otherwise. All right, so they infiltrate the team, but they get caught pretty quick, and they run. I love the bank heist where they pull that safe out through the wall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's baller.
Really cool, especially for 1965. And I keep wanting to call him El Nino in Chris Farley's voice.
El Nino. I love that sketch.
El Nino.
That means the Nino.
Ooh, okay. Anyway, Indio's actually best friend in the movie is called Nino, so that's probably another reason I keep thinking of it.
Probably.
Indio for 1965. His plan is pretty cool, actually. Like, he wants to
control the weather. I know, it's wild.
He's robbing one bank Well, he gets the authorities to think he's robbing another, which also leads me to...
He's leading a smaller heist of 3 people to lure the feds or whatever away while he goes for the bigger heist at this bank. I love back then, like, now you like Google, like, what bank has the most money? Back then you just like go to a different bank and he asks the teller, hey, what bank would be good to rob?
It's amazing, dude. Yeah. I'm not gonna lie to you. If I was transported back to the 19th century, Old West,
first thing you do is ask a bank teller what you should rob?
Fuck yeah. I would be a robber. I mean, that's just what you do, man. It's so easy.
I'd be in a saloon, my friend. If I got sent back to the Old West and I knew there was no way I was coming back to present day, I'm stuck back there forever, I'm just going to be sitting in that saloon drinking and whoring my ass off.
Me too. But you need money to do that. We'll rob a bank.
You can't even bet on anything. There's nothing happening back then.
You could play roulette in the saloon.
I guess.
You think saloon's not everything, man.
You think I could place a large bet on the North to win the Civil War?
Wait, so you get transported back, but with the knowledge that you have today?
Yes, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Oh, all right, yeah, dude, definitely bet. I'd bet on the North. You could probably bet on different armies and divisions. Be like, that Grant fella, I got a lot of faith in him.
Yeah. You know who's going to do big things? Harriet Tubman. Oh, you're enjoying yourself, Henry. I
know that where we're sitting right now is a territory, but mark my words, in a few years it's going to become a state.
Oh, that's a good one, yeah.
You're crazy. You want to bet?
Yeah. All right, H-Dog. So the film ends with them defeating the villain, and Van Cleef gives Clint all the money, and he says, like, I just wanted peace or something.
Wait a second. So he has Van Cleef basically dead to rights, and he's playing his pocket watch, and all of a sudden you hear the music start from another direction. And you find out that Eastwood has lifted Van Cleef's pocket watch that he also had of a picture of his sister. And he says to him, you should be more careful, old man, and gives him his gun.
Ooh.
He saves Van Cleef's life, and by stealing his pocket watch, and then gives it back to him, and then Van Cleef, does the business. And then it turns out Van Cleef wasn't in it at all for the money. And so Clint not only actually gets the bounty on the bodies, which, by the way, is a fucking great scene when he's counting the money and staring at the bodies in the wagon.
I love that. That whole ending. Well, which sequence are you talking about? When they first get the safe and they're counting the money, or at the very end?
The very end, when he's killed Dio and everybody, and he's counting and adding up, and then he comes short, and he's like 20.
Oh my God, right. So, and so he somehow, knowing that he's short, realizes that there must be another guy around. Turns around, he's right there. We see him like creeping out from back. It's great. It's like sort of a war movie, like when you
It's awesome.
Yeah, and he just kills the fuck out of him.
He kills him, so he gets all that, and then on the way out, he grabs the bag of money that was from the bank anyway. So he said,
and I love they cut to Van Cleef, who only hears that last gunshot and just keeps riding like, I'm sure that was just Clint murdering someone else.
He don't need my help no more. We had a really nice goodbye. It'd be kind of a shame for me to go back there.
It's true. I'd fuck up that goodbye. I remember one time when I was in college, I was dating this girl, and it was sort of like not going well anymore, and we weren't getting along. And she was going out of town, and we hung out the night before, like she was going out of town, and we got along so well, and it was like, I fucking nailed it. And then she was going to the plane, and she missed her flight.
Oh.
And she had to come back, and we had to like do it all over again, and it went horrible. I think I had felt such relief about getting through that.
Yeah.
That the prospect of doing it again made me so anxious that we ended up getting into a fight.
That is awful.
You don't want to be with me, ladies. I am.
Can't do the goodbye correctly.
I'm.
It's your fight.
Apparently, I cannot be lived with. All right, I give this film a 5, Henry. This is a 5.
Been a while since we've heard Dan say that, and it is a 5. I totally agree. It's a 5-star movie. My MVP is Indio.
Oh, and I'm going to go with Van Cleef.
Fair enough. LVP was hard, man, but I did come up with one. Indio's a big fat henchman who's kind of dumb. He's very loyal, and he's in the movie the whole time, but he gets a very ignominious death, and like it's strange.
I know what you're talking about. There's a few henchmen that are given time.
Yeah, more fleshed out would be nice, and I don't mean because he's fat.
What about, we didn't talk about how Klaus Kinski is one of those dudes.
Oh my god. The Hunchback.
That was wild. What is he doing in this movie?
I don't know. What language do you think he was actually speaking?
German, I guess?
Oh my god. That was wild, man.
Yeah. It was weird. You know, I'll tell you what. It was some great filmmaking by Sergio Leone. I don't know how he did it. They shot scenes with him in direct daylight. You know, I don't know how he didn't burst into flames because he's a vampire.
Because they might have carried over some coffins from Fistful, and so maybe Klaus could get in them during the day.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, you could take naps during shooting days. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The great Klaus.
He's only a few years away from meeting Werner, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it's close.
Because Aguirre is 71 or 70.
Yeah, it's right around there, 71, 72. Yeah.
But didn't he do something before that with Werner, or was that their first time together?
I think that's first, but, I mean, they worked together constantly in the 70s.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So Klaus is on the verge of Aryan stardom.
He's on the verge of being one of our foremost weirdos.
Our foremost assholes to ever make a movie with.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Who's you give it a 5 as well?
5, yeah.
Okay.
And LVP begrudgingly to Big Nino there.
I guess I'll go with that cuck who worked at that motel.
That's a good call.
Yeah, that's a weird scene.
That's a really weird scene.
It's a little broader than the rest of the movie, and I'm not just talking about that one broad.
Her breasts are very, very large.
Wow, I didn't say that, but I did call her bosomy twice.
I think
I feel okay about saying the word bosomy because I once got it in the New York Times crossword. Like that was the answer. It was bosomy, and I was right.
Bosomy?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm not sure that I even knew that was like a proper English word.
I'm not sure I knew until I got it in the New York Times.
Wow. Well done.
Thank you, Henry. Let's do a New York Times crossword podcast where we're just doing the crossword together.
You'll win.
I guess. I'll have to come out and visit you a different time now that that girl dumped me.
We'll make plans.
Yeah, okay.
Work about it.
H-Dog, what a good time talking about these movies with you. Can't wait for Good, the Bad, and the Ugly next week. Fuck yeah. Aaron Holcomb, great job. Great pick.
Yeah, dude. This was a breath of fresh air. This was a door to a new room. It was an elevator to the sky. It was a shopping mall with an FYE still in business.